And we're live.
Welcome to the shit show.
Lies and misinformation.
Just read your thing. Talking a lot.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, right.
You dummy.
Right.
I'm glad he's laughing like it's funny.
Cindy Lynch. Everybody's been waiting for me.
Oh, you do have the mic.
Hold that back.
Whoever's first, just tell them to move forward a little bit.
Yeah.
Squeeze that up a few inches. You got a headache? I was saying mine hurt. He goes, so does Sherry's. He came in and said, it's time to get up. What? I'll be quiet now.
I should have had Uncle Bob.
Don't get over when you stand for my dad out in Colorado. Is he prepared this time? Is his phone charged? Your wife that I couldn't see. Remind me not to get
Welcome everybody to the Township of Bordentown Township Committee regular meeting, March 27th, 2023. You can't hear me?
barely.
This will be just recording. Right? Can you hear me now? You can hear me now? Just raise your hand in the back. Can you hear me? Good.
The mic, yeah, it doesn't sound like your
Oh,
wife's
right side.
There it is. There you go.
Again, the meeting started at 7:30. I'm sorry we had to make everybody wait until that time, but welcome again. We are now on agenda item number 3, which is a salute to the flag and moment of silence. Please rise and join me in the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. And we are now on agenda item number 4, which is the open public meeting announcement. Madam Clerk.
This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act. Adequate and electronic notice of this meeting has been provided. You don't really want to hear this anyway.
I don't want to hear it all.
Notice of the 2023 meeting schedule was sent to the Burlington County Times and the Times on January 9th, 2023, and subsequently published by the Burlington County Times on January 12th. The notice has been and remains posted on the Township website and the bulletin boards in the municipal building. A copy of the notice is also on file in the Township Clerk's office to be made available to the public upon request. This public meeting is being electronically recorded.
Okay, thank you very much. Agenda item number 5, correspondence. There is none at this time. Agenda item number 6, administrative review of agenda.
I have no changes to tonight's agenda.
Okay. We are now on agenda item number 7, which is public participation on agenda items. Note, this first opportunity for public participation is limited to any agenda item. However, bear with me, I just want to make the rules over here so everybody understands. With the public speaking, when you come up to the microphone, name and address clearly stated. There's going to be a 5-minute time limit, so everyone that wants to speak has that opportunity. We'll play it by ear, but one time only at the microphone. If time permits, we'll let people go a second time. These actions all spelled out under resolution number 2023-17. Conduct at public meeting that was done 1/7/23 reorganization meeting. Everyone from the audience that wants to speak will have that opportunity. All items are to be addressed to the presiding officer, which is the mayor. That being said, I'll entertain a motion and second to open to the public.
So move, Fusey.
Already second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are now officially open to the public.
Gregory Swanson, 142 Juniper Street, Burlington, New Jersey. I'm the Vice President of Burlington County Professional Firefighters, Local 3091, who represents the EMTs here for Bordentown EMS. We have been discussing the matter of privatizing EMS since October of 2022. We requested to create a committee twice to properly look into the data, finances, and any and all options to make the right decision. As of today, this has not happened. The only information I was advised by Committeeman Holliday was they have been having meetings going on with individuals. While this may be considered productive, we professionally disagree with that. Individual meetings allow the information to be secretly left out if it doesn't fit the agenda of the leading party. Numerous statements have been released with significant inaccuracies by the Township and City Commissioner Lynch, with very minimal data being released that has specifically been requested by taxpayers. Bordentown Township and Bordentown City have failed to do their due diligence with this matter, and we request that the Bordentown Township committee members vote against Resolution 2022-63 entitled Resolution Authorizing an Agreement with RWJ Barnabas Health EMS for Emergency Medical Services. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Jennifer Kohler. I live at 827 West 3rd Street in Florence. I've been before you several times in the last few months, and I'm here once again to urge you to vote no on Resolution 2023-63. Over the last few months, you were asked to establish a committee to investigate the rationale behind this resolution, and you agreed it was a good idea. You did not form one. You were asked to host a joint meeting with the city commissioners to allow the public to ask questions and hear the reasoning behind your resolution. You did not hold one. You were asked to publish the data on call volumes and financials so the residents could understand the facts that led to your resolution. You did not release them. You were addressed for over 90 minutes by your constituents last month, and the opinion was unanimous in opposition to this resolution. You tabled the vote so that you could spend more time investigating the matter before making your decision. I don't know if you did that. What I do know is that none of you have met with me or any of my employees. At no point in this entire process did anyone discuss this with someone involved in the daily operation of providing emergency medical services to Bordentown to ensure that this contract would provide equal or better than what we have now, and as a result, it does not. I do know that members of the union and the public have requested and received data that directly contradicts statements made on the record and in writing from your administrator. He claimed calls were down during COVID. The billable call numbers released to the public show that is false. He claimed there was no evidence of missing revenue, but going from over $400,000 annually down to $280,000 and then dropping another $20,000 the year after that shows that isn't true either. I do know that the union worked with the administrator on proposals for fully staffing the EMS division that puts our costs within $525 of the proposed contract with Robert Wood, and that I would be able to hire that staff if I were permitted to do so, something your administrator expressed a desire not to do in emails that have now been released to the public through open requests. And I do know that in the last month, I sat in this room when you were asked how many people work in our EMS division, and not a single one of you could answer that question. I do know the number is 18. Caitlin, John, Lori, Karen, Dorinda, Jennifer, Andrew, Brian, Tiana, Amy, Peter, Kimberly, Michael, Ashley, Patrick, Sherry, Dorothy, and Eugene. I know that these are people with homes and children and families and lives that will be impacted by the decision that you make on this resolution, and I know that you didn't even bother to know how many of them there exist. I know exactly what this decision would mean to the over 16,000 people that it would affect. And before you vote on it tonight, I ask you to each ask yourself, do you?
Beverly Janice, 69 Winding Brook Road, Bordentown. It's hard to follow Jen. She has a lot of facts and figures, stuff that I don't have. But I did come here tonight asking you to vote no on the resolution. Sounds like it's 2022-63. I just want to share my thoughts as a concerned citizen. Privatization just means rich people get more money. Robert Wood Johnson does not take this account out of the kindness of his heart. Robert Wood Johnson has no heart. It is a soulless corporation that exists only to make money. Privatizing EMS is wrong for this town. Anyone who thinks it is a good idea has been duped or has something personal to gain, because it's a move that would clearly hurt the municipalities involved and every resident therein, as well as our dedicated first responders. From an emergency management standpoint, this town needs to strengthen its emergency response, not weaken it, especially because of our aging infrastructure and proximity to the Delaware River, which is a tidal body of water. These are things, obviously, that make it a little bit more dangerous to live here and require a little bit more attention from our emergency responders. Take the chemical spill in Bristol and the fire at the Fountain of Life into consideration. Were we able to send mutual aid? Were we able to cover our own town if we did? We should be able to do both. If we have contractors, we are WJ, they are not stakeholders in our community, and they would not be available to cover our town and possible incidents or disasters at the same time. From the small amount of information I've seen, it seems there isn't a tax savings to the residents in privatization. The residents of this town are worth the investment that is necessary to keep municipal EMS for basic life support. I feel it is necessary to add that we should pay them properly, because from what I've seen, Amazon pays better. RWJ can't even compete with Amazon. So we would lose great people to jobs like that, not even to RWJ, if you voted to privatize our EMS. And please keep in mind the many community events that EMS takes part in. For example, off the top of my head, 10 minutes before this started, Cranberry Fest, River Fest, Street Fair, Halloween Parade, historical events, car shows, Porch Fest, and many more. We have a great town, so we have so many great things to do. And I'm proud to be part of it. Our EMTs should be stakeholders, like every resident is, and they are a valuable part of our community. How you vote here will reveal your true investment in our community. I hope you vote for us, as you are elected to do, and not the rich fat cats. We will remember how you vote tonight. Thank you.
Joan Boris, 808 Farnsworth Avenue, right across the street here.
Joan, you can put the mic down.
There you go. Can everybody hear me? Yep. Good. 808 Farnsworth. This is the first meeting I've been to, but I've been following it all on Facebook and any other commentaries in the news that I have been very upset concerning this privatization, and I request that you vote no. One thing I think you should all take into consideration, all the warehouses that have been approved in this township alone employ so many people that could possibly need our EMS team. They are here to do that. And you need to consider that, as well as the apartment complexes, the senior apartments that have gone up, and the townhouses that have all gone up. All people are moving into our town. We need our local EMS. And I ask you to vote no on this privatization. Thank you.
Sylvia Scazzari, 8 Winding Brook Road. I also encourage this committee to vote no on 2023-63. If you vote yes, the taxpayers will pay twice. Once this is said and done, the committee obviously is going to be sued for union busting. So the taxpayers will be on the hook for thousands of dollars in lawyer fees. Second, the way we lose is we could lose a life by this resolution going through. Instead, we should be taking care of our EMS who saved the lives in this town.
Hello everyone, respectfully, my name is Deirdre Ryan. I live at 335 Willow Street and I'm in the city. Home Post has been in my life forever, except when I moved out of town and I'm back. And all I know is that everyone from Hope Hose and Consolidated, they're like family. When my grandparents needed services, Ramon Alutisa and Iraida Alutisa, they lived on 40 Yorktown Road. And when they needed help, our EMS team was there. And when I was in Los Angeles, that gave me a great comfort to know that they got there immediately. And when they had to move to Park Street apartments, they knew where to go, and they knew them. And my grandparents and my family, we trust them. The sad fact is that everyone here is going to need emergency services, whether you're young and as we age, and as someone with multiple sclerosis and fibromyalgia. I just got worried that, my time, my life, My time on earth is not as long as many people due to the fact that, you know, the brain and nervous central system, they control everything. So, please, I desperately ask you all, vote no on this. And while you're at it, give these fine folks a pay raise that they generously need. Thank you.
Hi, Tammy Cedar, 235 Spring Street, Bordentown City. Pull it up. I'm a little taller than she is. My husband is part of the shared service agreement. He's your cross-trained employee that works for the city. He's been doing this since the contract started and before, when the city had their own EMS, he was hired to ride for them. My husband rode through COVID. We had a daughter that has a compromised immune system. He couldn't even come home and hug my daughter. He had to go to the back of the house and change, and we had to explain to her why she couldn't go near her daddy. He did that for months. He didn't care. He served, and he has for 22 and a half years with the city. And I would implore you guys to take that into consideration. I've been asking a lot of questions through this whole process. I've emailed Mr. Theokas a few times. I get a little confused because in one email, he, you know, it talks about the decreased revenue is why this is being done, and then another one is you guys aren't taking the decreased revenue into consideration. You're putting it on the higher number. So I haven't been able to follow along. I really don't understand what the decision is being based on, and no one's really been very forthcoming with sitting down and really talking to us about it. And I agree that I wish we would have been able to have a Q&A and ask you guys questions and get answers, so maybe we could completely understand the situation. But I would ask you to vote no. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Melinda Zola, 222 Prince Street in Bordentown City. Hello again. You know, it's really unfortunate, I think, that we're standing here again talking about the same issue that is so upsetting to the people of our community. I think most everybody, I think all of us have the best interest of our community in our minds and our heart when we talk about this. That's why we're all so emotional. I believe when I am from the city, but voted for you guys, everybody believed that you guys, they could count on you to make the decisions, to back them up, and to support the community. And I think one of the biggest problems, I don't know how, I don't know why, but is this breakdown in communication. And I just really want to warn all of you, which I'm sure you already know, this breakdown of trust that is happening now because of this situation. All that hope and trust people did have in you guys, they don't now, especially because questions have been asked over and over and over again, and never getting a straight answer or just being ignored. You know, at the last meeting, we saw Mr. Theokas lose his temper numerous times and not hold himself to a higher standard as a public official in a meeting, which was upsetting. And we saw some of you up there take the time to say, hey, let's wait a minute, but the thing I'm saddest about tonight is that I feel like, regardless of what everyone is telling you, the way that we're feeling, it feels like we got the runaround a little bit. Like, okay, we're gonna not vote because we're gonna have a committee to discuss this and find the information, and we'll get back with you, but that never happened. So it feels like you know that you're gonna vote yes, you've always known you were gonna vote yes, and you're just hoping that the more time that went on, people would fall off and really not pay attention. I really beg you guys to vote no to this. I just think from the city, I don't know what's being said behind closed doors, but publicly, no one wants this. They are saying, we don't want to do this. However, we don't have another option. And I would think in the positions you guys are in, you know that's never really an answer, that there's no other option. That's very few and far between, that there's nothing else that we can do to try to rectify a situation. I just really hope you guys vote no. Do the right thing, so you guys can feel like you're taking care of the people who voted for you.
Good evening, folks. My name is Jim Lyons, 513 Doe Lane in Sherryville, New Jersey. I represent the Professional Firefighters Association of New Jersey. I was here the other month. We spoke about there was going to be a possible committee assembled. It did not happen, and I'm just going from the business point of view. This is something that I really think can be worked through if we were to sit down, have a committee, talk about this a little bit more, not be emotional, and just look at the facts and figures. And that's what it comes out to. If we can do that, I think we could possibly work through this, or at least make an educated decision that, and I'm not saying you're not making an educated decision, but as a group, collectively. There are other departments out there, Voorhees Township, for instance. Voorhees Township contracted the nighttime shift, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. with Virtua. Due to the failure of Virtua, they no longer are doing that. Now the department is hiring and increasing their staff to cover that. The 7 at night till 7 in the morning shift. Millstone, not far from here, Millstone Township used to have RWJ handling theirs. Fell apart. Millstone is now running their own. They hired their own staff, they put it together. It's a tough industry to hire for also. EMS, it's a very grueling job that these people do. They see things that they're not going to forget. And they have a big workload. As far as some of the information, I believe somebody responded to a comment that I made the other month about the League of Municipalities. The League of Municipalities had a gentleman in there by the name of Jim Smith. He's the fire chief for Ocean City Fire Department. He spoke against the privatization of EMS working in a township. Even though the league will not say, they'll be unbiased and say, you know, we have speakers come in, we're not going to intervene one way or another with a municipality. But why would you allow somebody to come in that's going to speak against it? I mean, he's giving his view. There's somebody that is a career fire chief down there that may be worth reaching out to. And again, if we had this committee, we could bring some of this information to you, guide you in the right direction. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But when you have people's careers in limbo, that's where we have problems. So I would just say if there is going to be a committee and we could have management and labor sit down and vet out some of the information, you know, if you contact through the chain of command through labor, the representative for them, I'd be willing to meet, and so would my other colleagues come in. We can give you information to make a sound judgment decision on. And again, let's look at why it failed in other areas. Because I'm sure you don't want to adopt something and have it fail. That's just, it's a waste of your time. So if we can fix the problem, I think there's a lot of ways to do it. One of the factors that was brought up, they mentioned about the cost of an ambulance, to purchase an ambulance. It is very expensive. However, the department I work for, we lease them. So it keeps your cash flow a little bit. You're not doing one capital purchase. So if you possibly went with a lease, maybe that's something. These are all little things that we can do that affect the big picture. And we do understand that you have to be financially responsible for the taxpayers. And that's something, that's why you took that position. So I would just urge you, please give us a chance to sit at the table and meet with the committee, and we'll try to work through this. I think we can. Overtime is very high, I've heard. However, if overtime is very high because we're short-staffed, well, now you have your salary line low, but your overtime budget high. Some municipalities look at that as a wash, because you're not paying on the back end the pension of a public employee at 16%, you're not paying the health care, maybe $20,000, $50,000 salary, you're at 75. You're short 4 employees, that's 300,000. That could push down the number on the overtime side. Your salary side will go to what it should be budgeted, but it'll bring down the amount of overtime. And these employees, don't forget, overtime for their job is not a get-rich thing. It's they're working for that money. They are separated from their family. That's what that compensation is. And I just think that that's another thing that we could sit down and talk about and work through. So I would just ask that committee be assembled and work with labor and management. And I think if we do that, we could probably get through a lot of this. If not, we at least try. That's all. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Betty Ann Nixon at 9 Elm Avenue in the Township. I had no intention of speaking and I don't have anything prepared, so please bear with me. The thing that stands out for me the most is the quality of care that the community is going to receive if this shift gets made. I'm going to ask you to vote no. Personally, I'm an advanced practice nurse. When someone in my family needs help, I'm the person they call. I have an uncle who lives in the community. He's 78 years old. He's very medically complex, and I'm concerned about the response time for somebody like him. I don't want to go in his home and find him unconscious and non-responsive, and I have an AED, but I don't want to be pumping on his chest for 20 minutes while I'm waiting for EMS or paramedics to come help me. That's not the best way to care for him in that situation. I know in the past, my husband and I have had to call EMS, and we're always very impressed with the quality of care that's delivered in the community. The response time is very quick, and there's a caring that is communicated in their demeanor, and I think that means something. So my concern is response time. I would ask that as all of us are members of the community, that we keep that in mind. What about these sudden cardiac deaths that we're seeing in the news repeatedly? Those folks need an AED. And when we are lengthening the response time clinically to intervene with patients in this level of distress or non-responsiveness, we're shifting that burden to whoever shows up first. So the police department is skilled and they're trained, and maybe they have an AED, and maybe they know how to use it. But if we're still waiting for EMS and paramedics who can deliver life-saving medication, that's the difference between life and death for those patients. So again, I would implore you to think about those folks being your family members, needing that level of service. So that's my biggest concern, is just the quality of care in the community and the response time. So please vote no, please consider that.
Mayor, Committee. My name is Glenn Warner. My address is 66 Winding Way, Gibbsboro, New Jersey. I'm also a councilman in Gibbsboro as well. I'm a little nervous. I see a crowd here, so I can only imagine how you guys are. Yeah. Yeah. So I actually am also a full-time EMT in Voorhees, in which the guy from Cherry Hill was just talking about. We had some issues in the past year where Voorhees decided that it would be the best interest of looking into building third party. They contracted with Virtua. In that time, Virtua guaranteed that they would do 2 ambulances at the nighttime from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. In that time, we still, the full-timers, worked during the daytime. Thank God the township did not do that, because in the past month, Virtua could not fill the ambulance 3 nights because we had the commitment of our guys that were still on there, we were able to say, listen guys, we still want to serve and protect our community to the best of our ability. Let's step up and let's do this. We know it wasn't the right thing, but some people just have to take that path and give it a try. What you have here with your full-time EMTs is you guys, you have people that have a passion and they have a commitment to their community. You know, and to lose that to a private organization that, at the end of the day, EMS is not an essential service. We as governing bodies, we don't have to provide that service. We have to provide police. We have to provide fire. But EMS at this point is not an essential service in the state. We are working on that. Okay. Later on down the road, if you go this route and your third party somehow or another cannot provide the service which they offered you, you can talk to Gloucester Township. Same thing happened to them. They subcontracted AMR. At the end of the day, AMR left the keys on the thing. They didn't say anything. They left the township committee scouring to see who's going to do their EMS services. Okay. So all I'm saying is you have some people here. You have a lot of residents here. Obviously, a nerve was pinched a little bit that you have these many people. If you don't mind, I will come up. I'll give you guys my card. If anybody wants to call me, I'd be greatly appreciated to talk to anybody. I'll give it to you, Mayor. You can give them all my council card. If anybody would like to call, I have almost 40 years service at EMS, and this is my second term on council in the borough. Okay, and it's a big step, and once you go that way, you lose what you have. You're not getting it back. You're going to be staring like Gloucester Township.
Yeah, that's right.
So just know
John Berkeley, 739 Estates Boulevard, apartment 85, Hamilton, New Jersey, 08619. My wife is a over 20-year employee here, and she's about to lose her job. She's one of the remaining EMTs from when, probably before all of you that are sitting here were appointed. She is from Derby. I just ask that each one of you, before you make your decision tonight, think of all the employees. In this room right now, there's probably over a combined several hundred years of experience. You're not going to get that with Robert Wood. You're not going to get that personal hometown feel that each one of these EMTs that sits here today knows this town. We know the citizens and the people of this town. I know that, if Robert Wood comes in, they're not going to know Mrs. Jones, who lives on Baker Street, for example. They're not going to know that, she lives alone and you have to put her dog away before you walk into the residence. You're going to miss that hometown feel. And when you have Robert Wood in here, who has lost several contracts over the past several years, they've lost East Windsor, they've lost Millstone, they've lost countless contracts. You're not going to have that hometown feel. These people are coming from New Brunswick and other areas in the state, and they don't know our town. Like 18 employees that are in this room. So before you vote tonight, take that into consideration. Take the lives of the citizens of Bordentown City and Bordentown Township. Put yourself in their shoes. Would you want Robert Wood coming to your house if they can't fulfill their needs? Thank you.
Hi there, folks. My name is Crystal Morgan, 419 Prince Street. Coming to you today with a laptop. Fortunately, it's a busy time in government, so as I'm sure you all know. So I didn't have time to write this down on paper, but due to the diligent work of some of the people in this room who are really committed to looking at this issue. They gave me the benefit of playing with the numbers. So I come to bring you some numbers today. This may not be news to you, but I personally found this very helpful for me. Let me just go through this really quickly, and then I'll hand it off to the next person. Our billable calls and our rollout calls have increased every single year, as does when you have an increased population every single year. Our response times are not only under the country, they are under on the county. They're actually very impressive. Even on our worst days, when we have our longest calls, we are still under the average for every metric. We have a really good team here by our measurables. Second, our revenue. I built a model off of our 2019 revenue based on our calls, the distance of those calls, and how those calls are billed. I am not an expert in medical billing. However, I did put in a lot of phone calls, a lot of hours talking to people, a lot of research. That model is within 1% error to what we actually brought in 2019. That was our last pre-COVID full year, so that is where I'm basing that for the math people in the room. Something different that came out for our 2022 revenue projection, which I know a lot of people here had questions about. We, assuming all of the same things, that about 20% of our folks are Medicare eligible, and even if they have private insurance, it kind of came out as a wash to offset the people with private insurance who are eligible for Medicare. Anyway, I won't go too deep into the details unless you want them, but our projection for 2022 is that we were going to bring in $377,000. We didn't. I would like to also address the fact that in this data, there was almost a 10-time increase in the amount of rollouts to Hamilton Township, specifically. We had 13 calls in 2019, and 122 of them went to Hamilton Township. I would like to reiterate what I said the last time I came up here and spoke. RWJ has built their model off of scarcity. Because these mutual pacts, we're not getting paid for them, I believe. They're handshake agreements that they'll help us, we help them. That's 122 calls that not one person in this room got paid for. That's a deficit that we need to address, I believe. Because of that, we had about 87% in contract, so Bordentown, Township, City, and Fieldsboro. 2019, that is down to 55% because of all of the mutual aid calls we are receiving from our surrounding townships. I would really, really reconsider voting yes on this resolution tonight. As a lot of other people have said, we are not getting more with this contract, and it is my opinion that these numbers do not support going down to what RWJ has offered, even if they were to increase their bid. The track record is not good. So I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Sid Morgenstein, 8490 East Drive. In resolution number 63, it says you received one response to the request for proposal. Did you gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, consider putting out a second request to try and get more responses?
I'll turn that question over to our administrator.
No, the request that came in was qualified for the terms of the RFP, so we dealt with the response that we got.
Last month when you talked about this, I asked specifically if the ambulance would take us to a different hospital of our choice. If I remember correctly, you said something about it, they would. A member of the audience said that is not true. I quickly checked the resolution, the contract, and it wasn't exactly clear. Specifically, if I say I want to go to Capital Health in Hopewell, will they take us there?
No. Nope.
Are you asking me, Sid?
Yeah, or two youth through the mayor. Two youth through the mayor.
I'll say first of all, and I'll let you.
Two youth through the mayor.
Yeah. My opinion, my answer is yes.
Specifically states in the RFP that the patient can choose one of the three closest facilities. So Capital Health is one of the closest facilities. So they will take you to Capital Health.
Hopewell's 19 miles away. Are you aware of that?
Hold on. You can go up to the mic afterwards. First of all, in the contract, which I've read probably 5 times, at least, maybe more, the indication was that, yes, you can go to another hospital. Present time, correct me if I'm wrong, approximately 45% of the transports go to Robert Wood because it's the closest hospital.
That's not correct, I'm sorry.
The figures I have is 1 year 41, one year 45.
2022.
No, I'm not going back and forth with the audience, okay? Go ahead, Mr. Taylor.
Again.
You're
if you ask
presenting
the
false
question,
information.
the answer is they will take you to the hospital that you choose.
Specifically, if I say Capital Health in Hopewell,
Yes, they're going to take you.
will they take us there?
Yes, the answer is yes.
Okay. And how much, question number 3, how much would the savings be off of our current expenditures for EMS for this contract? How much would we save?
First of all, if you had the chance to read the frequently asked questions, those are explained very, very carefully. Okay, you of all people do a lot of reading on that, right?
Yeah.
It's on our website.
I may have read it, but I may have forgotten. That's what I'm asking.
Again, Mr. Theokas, explain exactly.
Again,
I can read it to you.
as the mayor indicated,
No, that's really.
as the mayor indicated that based on historical costs, based on last year's operating net loss, there would be considerable savings if the contract with Robert Wood would be executed, and based on projected costs, there would be considerable savings if the township and the city were to engage with Robert
Mr.
Wood.
Mayor, can we define considerable?
Over $100,000 annually, $125,000.
Not $540.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
All my records are Capital Health.
My name is Luann Scalzo. I live at 15 East Church Street. I grew up in Bordentown. I've been living in Connecticut for quite a while now, and I just came back because I wanted to be near my family and my friends, and I love Bordentown and the whole, everything that's happening here. I was just wondering why nobody has thought about having the people that are served by this can have a vote rather than just a few people saying, this is what we want to do. We are the people, all the people in Bordentown Township, and the surrounding communities. They are the people that want these people that are continuing to help them when they have a problem. They know these people, they know they're going to get the correct amount of care, that's the word for it. I just wonder why the people in each of these towns don't get to vote and then go from there. Thank you.
Scott Rowan, U.S. Bank Report. Mr. Mayor, Committee. Is there any chance, listening to everything that's gone on tonight, mentioning that the committee had said they put a committee together to discuss this with the residents, any chance of tabling this again and forming that committee that you stated you would do?
No.
So you will not table this and you will not form the committee that you said you were going to do?
I'm not speaking for the committee. The next item is up, and I cannot speak for the committee. Totally not.
So then, can we ask each committee member?
No. Each committee member on the next item, all right, will vote on this. If it is seconded and
Absolutely disgusting.
answered your question.
That answered, that you did answer the question, yes.
But they can vote, you can vote no.
You can vote no, yes.
Yeah, oh, I didn't say you couldn't vote no, I said the will vote.
Yes, I
You will
know.
vote. I'm not going, ma'am, I'm not going to go back and forth. I can't do that. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say this right now, I'm not well versed on this contract. I would like to ask a couple questions if that's okay, maybe just one.
Go ahead.
The contract is for 1 year?
Actually, the contract is for 3 years, but it's really 1 year, 2 years renewable.
2 years renewable. And
1 year, then they quit.
And are the cost guarantees for the 3 years?
There's a three, if I am correct here, there's a 3% increase each year.
Well, yeah, that's a guarantee, yes.
It's guaranteed.
Okay.
And by the way, like I said, according to the contract, we have 90 days if we choose to break that contract in the second or third year, that type of thing. It's all spelled out in the contract. See, and I have to say this, there's a lot of information in the contract we could not give out because the city and the township were advised by our attorneys. It's an unsigned contract, we could not give that out. Okay? You could look at me any way you want, but that's the way we have to go with it. And based on that, some of the stuff you're asking, if you had that contract in front of you, maybe you wouldn't be asking. I don't know. I apologize for that, but we have to go by what the law says, my attorney says, same thing with the city.
Based on statements made by other gentlemen who were in this profession, where they mentioned other towns going back to EMS services, has the township looked at what the cost would be to go back if the contract doesn't get completed or Robert Wood Johnson backs out?
The answer to that is yes.
And what's the cost to come back? As opposed to staying with the services, not taking the contract and not having to come back.
We don't have those
I will defer again to the administrator.
That's why I'm looking at you, Mr. Mayor.
That's a lot of hypotheticals there, right? So it's hard to give an answer to hypotheticals.
It's not a hypothetical.
You asked the question.
Yes, I did.
Are there contingency plans? Yes, there are. Depending on, there's a lot of different ways it can go. So there's a lot of different other opportunities, all of which were looked at, and all of which are part of the contingency plans, if in fact a contract is entered, and if in fact after that there needs to be another change. But to get into the details of how much, what would cost down the line, a year from now, 2 years from now, an unknown thing, I can't give you an accurate answer. Right?
What about a projection?
Yeah, ballpark.
I have to go to Mr. Mayor.
No, it would be inaccurate to give you a number here because it's hypothetical. There's a lot of what ifs.
projection.
But aren't budgets hypothetical?
They're hypothetical in the sense you're saying, okay, but still you go by the budget at that point.
Right, so a budget is hypothetical. I have to talk to you, I understand.
Scott, here's the thing.
He has the
The difference between having a contingency plan, okay, and, you know, we're not anticipating anything is gonna fail here, right? So the first question you asked was, are the costs fixed? And the answer is yes. In the contract, the potential contract. There's no way we could budget anticipating something to fail, right? We would have contingency plans if we had to move on in a certain period of time. But to budget that, there's no way to budget that because there's no way to know when or how or even if that's going to happen.
I didn't ask may I?
Sure, Brian.
I didn't ask the budget, I asked what the projection was.
It would be in the millions of dollars.
Right, and what would the cost be to stay
In the millions of dollars.
So it looks, to me, it sounds like a wash.
Not necessarily.
This is why, Mr. Mayor, this is why I recommend you table this to form a committee.
To respect the information's out there.
To put all this information together. And bring in the professionals. I'm not professional, you know that. Okay, bring in the professionals who've gone through this. Have you gone through this?
Yes, sir.
You have. I mean, in another town, you've privatized.
Oh, no.
That's what I'm talking about. Bring in the people who've gone through this to discuss it with everybody, to give you all the information they've gone through to make a better decision before you make a wrong decision. You could be making a right decision, but if the vote is yes tonight, that could be a wrong decision. Let's bring everybody into this.
You're assuming we haven't talked to people, Scott.
Have you?
Yes, sir.
Oh, boy.
Did you invite the residents of the township?
We've talked to people in the
In
industry.
a group environment?
We've talked to people in the industry.
In a group environment?
Not necessarily, no.
No.
So you didn't.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
We need somebody else to go.
Mary Kay Carey, 8 North Colonial Drive in the township. I have a question on the RFP. You put out the RFP and Robert Wood was the only respondent. Does that legally mean you have to accept it? Or can you say, maybe not? Do you have to legally accept it, yes or no? It's yes or no.
Are you directing the question to me? Because that's
Whoever
what we
would
should
like
be
to
doing.
answer the question, if you legally have to accept the only bid that was presented.
I'll defer to the solicitor.
There are 6 reasons by statute that you can reject a bid. Having one bid is not that one of those 6 reasons. If you find that bidder to be reasonable and responsible and responsive to your RFP, you can consider it. If one of those 6 conditions does not meet, and that means if it, one example of it exceeds your estimate, exceeds the appropriation.
Do you have the ability to withdraw an RFP?
Hold on for a second. Madam Clerk, would you just answer this question so that everybody knows? You're qualified to say that.
I'm the purchasing agent, yes.
Is that,
I'm the purchasing agent for the township.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify it so you knew.
Okay, so, but the township, should they change your mind, can withdraw the RFP?
Withdrawal is not the right word legally, can choose not to award.
Can choose not
if
to
it meets
award.
one of the 6 reasons, yes.
And that is, say you just decide not for us.
You can change your specifications, yes, if you say so. We
Okay,
don't
thank
want to
you.
do the-
Anyone else? Hearing and seeing no one else, at this point, I'll entertain a motion second to close to the public.
So moved, Holiday.
Second, Grayson.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. We're closed to the public at this point. There's another public portion at the end of the meeting too, which is, again, anything, not just the agenda. We are now on actually agenda item number 8, which is old business EMS. And I'm going to read a statement first, so here goes. The Township Committee has heard from the public on multiple occasions and through many formats, in person, via email, on the phone, and through social media. We have done all our own due diligence and information gathering. The Township Committee trusts in the information we have, and we have spent considerable time reviewing and discussing this matter. This has been a long, public, and open process. We understand and appreciate all the input we have received in the past and tonight. The Township Committee will act, as we always have, in the best interest of the Township residents, based on the totality of the information we have reviewed. I'll ask at this point, does any committee members want to comment before we even talk about A and B, which is consideration of resolution 2023-62, and then consideration of resolution number 2023-63. Is there anyone who wants to make a comment?
I'll comment, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
For what it's worth, so I know that probably most of you sitting in front of me think that I may be coming to this decision with something other than an open mind, an honest conscience, and a desire to do what is best. And at the last meeting, I said that I'm willing to make everybody angry to make an honest decision. So the only thing I want you guys to understand is that I have seen a lot of data. There's things that we can't share, unfortunately, but this is not a decision that I will ever take lightly. I know that everything I do, lives and livelihoods are on the line. And I know that no matter what I do, somebody's not going to be happy. So what I have to keep in mind is there's approximately 15,000 folks, of which a subset is in front of me. And I'm listening to you, but there's also the ones that didn't show up. And just know that I am taking all of your comments and the data, and I have emailed other townships. I will just say this again for what it's worth, that the Township of South Plainfield went half with Robert Wood Johnson and half with their local EMTs, and they just went all with Robert Wood Johnson for what it's worth. I know that you're looking at me going, I'm biased or whatever, and I can't stop that, but I will just tell you this, that this is tough, and I just want to be honest, and that's it. That's it. That's it. I just want to be honest. And I know that won't sit with everybody, but appreciate you listening.
Just one thing, if I might. The point is this, and don't forget, I think somebody in the audience even said it. Between the three communities, we have approximately 16,000, maybe close to 70. I don't know at this point. But, and what was just said, I agree with totally, because we have to consider everybody that we serve in Bordentown Township. Bordentown Township, we have 12,000 people. Okay? And again, we took all this into consideration. Believe me, I've done my due diligence. Over and over, I've spent many hours.
Please.
Anyone else on the committee? All right. Thank you. I didn't talk when, you were talking. All right, we are now on A, which is consideration of resolution number 2023-62 entitled Resolution Authorizing and Approving a Shared Services Agreement for Emergency Medical Services between the Township of Bordentown and the City of Bordentown. The resolution was tabled at the February 13th meeting. At this point, we've talked about it already. I will entertain a motion in second to adopt resolution number 2023-62.
So move, Fusey.
Second, Grayson.
Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Committeeman Grayson.
Aye.
Committeeman Holliday.
Aye.
Committeewoman Miller. Aye. Deputy Mayor Fusey.
Aye.
Mayor Benowitz.
Aye. B is consideration of resolution number 2023-63 entitled Resolution Authorizing Agreement with RWJ Barnabas Health EMS for Emergency Medical Services. This resolution was tabled also at the February 13th meeting. I'll entertain a motion in second to adopt this resolution.
So moved, Holiday.
Second, Miller.
Roll call, please.
Committeeman Grayson.
Aye.
Committeeman Holliday.
Aye.
Committeewoman Miller. Aye. Deputy Mayor Fusey.
Aye.
Mayor Benowitz.
Aye. At this time, I would like to approve a recess for 5 minutes.
Thanks for putting everybody's life at risk.
I hope you guys are happy.
Disgrace.
I hope you can live with this. People are going to die and suffer. I hope you're happy. Not one in months supported this. You were elected to represent the people. Did you even tell the people what was happening? No. You never told the public. We told the public.
The refusal to meet.
We told the public.
You hit it insulting. Insulting. Not to have a committee with this. Insulting to sit there and say, everybody, we only represent a small portion. That's funny though. Percentage-wise, not one person here wanted this.
Thank you.
See you on election day, guys. Always. Thank you.
How many people do you need standing in this room to convince you that the general public doesn't want this? How many people would it take to change your mind?
You ought to be proud of yourself.
3,000, 5,000? If you put it to a ballot to begin with, then everybody else would have a say. And we brought that up a long time ago. We didn't want to hear it.
You all listen to one guy.
Yep.
I thought
Yeah,
you were
the
a
guy
decent
who
guy.
failed in his Windsor when he was behind it.
Thanks, Town.
Who's going to benefit?
You all listen to him.
Getting it in the pocket.
We should just call him mayor over there.
Let's hope and pray that you guys don't need Robert Boyd coming to help you when our EMTs show up within minutes to your doors. And I've had that proven to myself.
Thank you once again.
Tax dollars at work.
That are working, that no longer have jobs. This is how they find out. Really, really proud.
I'll be all proud of yourself, guys.